Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it's Hollywood After Dark for the 8th of November 2022. Not only is God of War Ragnarok dropping right now on consoles, the midterm elections are in full swing. Some are happy, some are mad, some are sad, some are glad. But we're not talking about politics tonight. We're going to be talking about Scooper, the CEO of DC Studios. That's right, folks. Grace Randolph versus James fucking Gunn. Oh yeah, Indiana Jones show, Black Adam potentially way worse off than we thought, and a hell of a lot more. Hollywood After Dark, let's fucking go. Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome to the party. Welcome to the show. As I said, it is of course the 8th of November 2022. It is kind of a historic day, to be fair. It is a historic day. I said last night, I'm like, I ain't going live. I ain't doing it. It ain't happening. I'm taking the night off, god damn it. And of course, I was just gonna sit at home. I was just gonna have dinner with my family. We were gonna watch the news, follow the midterm elections, and ended up getting kind of frustrated with it. So we ended up watching Chippendale's Rescue Rangers, or just Rescue Rangers, the movie, which, by the way, is still fantastic. Ugly Sonic is still GOAT, and bring on Chippendale's number 2. But I thought also there's enough news tonight where I might as well just go live. I might as well brave the weird lunar blood moon eclipse that we had to talk to you guys about movies, about information, about things like this. And of course, Music Man here says, yeah, here you are. Yeah, well, you know what, man? Listen, I just want to point out that certain things are perhaps a little bit more addictive than I'd like to let on. You know what I mean? But of course, these streams are all a little bit on the shorter side, and I think there's been a bit of appreciation on that. So obviously, we're just going to dive right the fuck into it here. So let's move into it, because we got a couple quick things to address. First and foremost, again, I'm going to point this out. If you haven't seen my review for Weird Al the Yankovic Story, or Weird the Al Yankovic Story, check out youtube.com/Podio Commentary, PODIO commentary. More reviews will be coming up this week. It turns out that the company that's going to be distributing The Mean One, which is the Grinch parody movie, the horror slasher Grinch parody movie starring the guy who played Art the Clown, actually email me a whole bunch of press releases all the time. So I'm going to use that as a way to be able to review The Mean One. You'll be able to find that on Podio Commentary. Of course, if you guys like what I do here on Hollywood After Dark and on Podio Commentary and everything else, and you want to support the show, check out patreon.com/Matt Jarbo. Again, this image kind of sucks. I made it real quick, but that is, by the way, AI art. That's AI generated art of a skeleton eating popcorn in a movie theater. The whole thing is unique. I'm terrible at graphic design. It is clearly not my passion, but patreon.com/Matt Jarbo. Great way to help out. We will be doing watch parties here. I know I keep promising it. It's going to happen once we figure some stuff with that out. Just the logistics of it are a nightmare, but that's a great way to help out if you guys want. Patreon.com/Matt Jarbo. Also, I just want to start talking off tonight. I gotta address something right off the bat. So, in the video description, or in the title, I made a comment about Black Adam kind of bombing maybe a little bit more than expected, right? Confirmed to kind of be a bomb. Well, okay. The reason why I said that, and I'll catch a little bit of shit for saying it like that, but I'm keeping it up just because, has everything to do with this image right here. Now, the reason why I have this image up on the screen is because movies that mayor, right? The Viking. This is the guy that first put out #release the Snyder Cut. That's this dude. This guy did it. Okay. Good dude. Cool guy. Usually has his ear to the ground on a lot of stuff. And he posted this today. So I'm like, holy shit. They're already dropping it on VOD simply a month after its release. Holy shit. It is like, this movie is now, if they're releasing it on VOD that fast, it means that they know the movie has stopped earning. There's no point in sharing a revenue split with theaters. They want to get as much as they can before it hits HBO Max sometime in December, most likely. So it is unfortunately where it is. But if that's the case, we have some stuff to talk about with that, because it's everything I've said. If this is true, I just want to point this out. If this is true, everything I have said about Black Adam not moving the needle, that the hierarchy of power in the DCU has not changed, and that Henry Cavill's return was perhaps a little bit prematurely celebrated, this would confirm all of those things, because right now what we're looking at is a scenario where you have the new studio heads that are dealing with a property that they know doesn't have legs. Now, Aladdin here says they know Wakanda is coming, so they have no legs to stand against it. And here's the thing with that, right? The thing with that is you're not wrong, but number one at 3 weeks in a row when it had no competition means that its likelihood of coming up at number 2 would still earn it some money. They would still get some money out of it, but they don't even want to attempt to compete on any real level with Wakanda Forever. And it makes sense. I have my tickets for Thursday afternoon. I think it's going to be a fine movie, but obviously Warner Brothers realizes that they are very much just in the place where they don't have the influence. And look, the bots, the Snyder bots, the Henry Cavill stands, they didn't show up. They knew he was in the fucking movie. They knew he was in the movie. They didn't show up. And so it is unfortunately what it is, which just tells me that the reason why The Rock has been very quiet about the future of Black Adam, the future of Henry Cavill, because if you've noticed, The Rock hasn't said anything about Henry Cavill. The Rock hasn't been talking about him really at all post-release. No future matchup between him and Black Adam and Superman. No future matchup between Shazam, Superman, and Black Adam. Nothing. It's been all quiet on the Western Front. And that, my friends, considering how much he carried this movie's marketing, and by that I mean all of it, on his back for literally pretty much a year, and then just goes radio silent, even though they were number 1 3 weeks in a row due to lack of competition. It tells you everything you want to know, right? Everything you want to know. Let's see here. Garrick asking, does your average movie viewer care about the Ezra Miller or Amber Heard drama? Amber Heard, well, I mean, more people are probably aware of that now because of the popularity of the Johnny Depp Amber Heard case. So that one, I would say maybe. Ezra Miller, it will be forgotten by next time. So let's see here. Ralph Stubbletit says he's saying The Rock is Black Adam. He has built this into his brand Zoa and has BA on him. Yeah, very much. Yeah, he will. Yeah, The Rock is a businessman. And at this point, we can kind of confirm that Black Adam, it had its run and it was left wanting. So when the VOD comes out, when I can get my hands on the VOD, we'll do a long form discussion over on Podio Commentary, talking about it, breaking it down, actually discussing the merits of the film, point for point, bit by bit, because I do think that there's a lot of good stuff in there that I'd love to go back and readdress. And there are elements of it that I do think need very, very, very heavy critique, so they don't ever make this mistake again. Because this movie should not have been the mediocre mess that it was. It really shouldn't have been. There was something in there that was good. They simply did not deliver it. And that, my friends, is sad. Zaslev says it was a success. Zaslev says a lot of things. Film Goblin. Zaslev says a lot of things. All I'm saying on that one there. All right. Ryan Landis here says, I imagine it would have been better with a good script. Crazy idea, I know. I mean, again, we don't know what the script was going into filming it. You know what I mean? Like, that's it. H. Bart's here says, if The Rock leaves DC, fuck him for not playing ball. Again, as I've said before, at this particular point in time, this was The Rock's last chance to really launch a franchise all his own. You know, even the one that we talked about last night, the red one for Amazon, when they initially talked about that, when the initial release came out about that, they talked about the potentiality of merchandising and expansion into a franchise. They're already diving into it, wanting to push it to that perspective. And I think it's just really, really bad to do that. Sometimes you can overpromise in this industry, and that's basically what's happening here. So moving on, what we found out today is that Keanu Reeves is returning as John Wick in the upcoming spinoff, The Ballerina, starring Ana de Armas. That is currently filming right now, I believe, in Prague? I believe Prague or Belarus. I think it's Prague. Keanu Reeves is currently on set. They are filming it. Anna Armas has been posting to her social medias about it, talking about how much fun she's had working on it. They've only been doing it for a couple days, but this is the very first spinoff that's in production of the John Wick franchise, which I am very excited for. John Wick is GOAT. John Wick is amazing. John Wick is so much fun. And Ian McShane will be also coming back into the ballerina to reprise his role. So we're going to get probably a lot more John Wick out of this universe. And that's great. That's cool because these things are cheap to make. They really spend a fair amount of time expanding the lore, which I do think is a very fascinating aspect to everything involving John Wick. The expansion of the world, the lore, the world building, the characters, the oddity of it all, the mysteriousness of it all, the fun of it all, the violence, the action, the gun, not gun kata, but gunplay, if you will. A lot of good things there. A lot of good things there. Can't wait to see what they do with this. Obviously, you know, everything else. Garrick here asks, would you say Keanu is more bankable than The Rock? 100%, dude. 100%. Keanu Reeves shows up at E3 and someone yells out, "You're beautiful." And he responds, and that becomes a meme. The Rock gets kind of pseudo laughed at Comic-Con, and people, lose their collective shit. All right. Anyway, I'm looking forward to what's going to be happening with this one here. H-Bars does ask the question, how long before Hollywood ditches The Rock like they did with Seagal? The Rock is a good businessman. The Rock is a good businessman, so he'll be able to succeed. Anthony asking, why no Halle Berry John Wick spinoff? I don't know, man. I don't know. Maybe she wanted too much money. Maybe she Maybe she felt that she wasn't able to keep up with the physicality of it in the way that they need, because it does get harder the older you get. So we'll have to wait and see. Ryan here asking, is nobody part of the John Wick universe? Here's the thing with that, Ryan. The sad part is no, it's not. It is produced by the same people. It has very much the same vibe. It has very much the same feel. It has quite a bit of the same type of action, albeit with a much more comedic and fast-paced approach to it. Bob Odenkirk does an amazing job in the role. Christopher Lloyd, obviously, as well. The RZA was great in the movie. I loved him. I think Nobody is spectacularly amazing. I loved it. The thing with Nobody, though, is that that's a universal release, whereas this one is a Lionsgate movie. So it's cross studio pollination. It is going to be what it is on that one there. So we're going to have to wait and see on what goes on with this. But obviously, as time goes on, we're going to get more info on the ballerina, more info on John Wick Chapter 4, which we've already seen a trailer for. And with any luck, the Continental will finally get off the fucking ground. I know Mel Gibson's in it. I'm surprised left-leaning Twitter hasn't attempted to burn it to the fucking ground yet. But you know what? It is what it is. Also, Spherical Man here says Nobody was great in a killer soundtrack. I completely agree. And then Anthony says Nobody is getting a sequel. Is it confirmed that they're getting a sequel, or are they just getting the, is it in development? I don't know, but I definitely would want to see more out of Nobody. And also, what was that Daybreak movie on Netflix with Jamie Foxx and Dave Franco? That is also from the same crew of people. Very similar in its approach. Instead of a hitman or a government cleaner, it's vampire killers, right? Vampire hunters. Same concept, same idea, same kind of world building there. Different genre, but that's Netflix. So the likelihood of them again crossing over is probably not going to happen. Anyway, let's move on. What we found out here through an interview with James Cameron on his, defending the 3 hour and 10 minute runtime, 3 hour and 10 minute runtime of this movie, dude, of Avatar. He says here, we didn't spend as much time on the relationship and emotion in the first film as we do in the second film. And I am cool with that. I like more character building. I like more world building. I like the dialogue. I like the emotion, the relationship. Give me something to root for. Give me something to enjoy. Give me something to kind of sink my teeth into on an emotional level. But at the same time, do we really need that in regards to Avatar? I mean, okay, let me look, I'm an Avatar fan. I'm an Avatar defender. You guys all know this. But it's how much are we going to get out of the story that is going to make us truly care about these characters in a way that sustains 3 hours, 10 minutes, and then another movie in 2 years, and then another movie 2 years after that, and then another movie 2 years after that. That in and of itself becomes a major question for just what the story is going to become. To that, if you have questions on that, to that I would counter. I would counter and say, look at Terminator 2. He made you care about the Terminator. He made you care about that character. That character who was a vicious, murdering robot sent from the future only a few years prior, now became like the boy's best friend, and you cared for him. And I'm wondering if he's going to be able to do that in this particular one as well. Now, HBart's here with $5. Thank you very much for the first super chat of the night. Says, if Cameron can't complete Avatar, this dude's going to go full-blown bitter and insane. I guess so. I don't know, man. I don't know really if Cameron can't complete Avatar, this dude is going to go full bitter. I don't know who you're talking about. Who's going to go full bitter? I'm kind of curious on that. Let me know. Definitely. But look, how long ago was Terminator 2? A long time ago. But then again, listen, even look at Aliens, look at Newt, right? Look at the relationship between Ripley and Newt. It very much became a mother-daughter relationship throughout the course of that movie. And you actually cared for Newt. You cared for Ripley and her relationship. You wanted to see them survive. He was able to take a character that was, I don't want to say unlikable, because Ripley was very likable in Alien, but it was a completely different side of her that they were able to tap into for Aliens and make it work and become in some ways more regarded, higher regarded than the original. Now that's again, hold on. That's not a cause for a fight in the chat here. Or if you're listening to this on the replay, I'm not saying that Alien is better than Aliens. I'm letting you decide that. I'm going to put it to the chat. 1 for Alien, 2 for Aliens. If you're in the VOD, post it in the chat as well, or in the comment section. But like, what do you think is better, Alien or Aliens? I've always been kind of curious. Both movies are fantastic in my mind. But we even have some Alien 3 stands out there, which are definitely kind of crazy. Kind of crazy that that's going to happen. Oh, James Cameron himself is going to become insane and bitter. I mean, any more than he already is, I guess. Garrick here saying, isn't Cameron already bitter with his attacks of superhero movies? I think it's the thing you have to remember about the Cameron when he criticizes superhero movies, he's not criticizing them in the same way that Scorsese is. Scorsese and Francis Ford Coppola are saying that these are theme park rides, that they have no substance, that they're just style, that there's nothing there of value outside of the visual acumen, that there's nothing there that you can go back to multiple times to get what they would call more or less a human experience. They don't really operate on that front. They're not really, that's what they're generally trying to say. Cameron is saying like the characters are cool, but like they're all kind of the same. And what I believe he's referring to on that front has a lot to do with the homogenization of Marvel movies. And we know that there's a lot of homogenization that happens in those movies. Obviously, when it comes to stuff like what, Kevin Feige has done, he does keep things very locked in line with that particular mindset, that view, that continuity. And because of that, things do come across as homogenized. And I think that's ultimately what Cameron's talking about. Cameron is one of the only freaking guys that I would say, wow, lots of 2s, lots of 1s. You guys, I can't even see right now which one has done better. Ryan here says, I'd say Alien is more of a suspense horror film while Aliens is an action. Oh, yeah. They're different. They're absolutely different in regards to their tonal approach and how they do things. But, people generally tend to compare the two. Shogun here for $5, man. Thank you so much, Shogun. Says, I feel like Aliens are apples and oranges. Alien 2 is in general is better, but Alien has one of the best openings of a sci-fi movie ever, IMO. Dude, I love both movies. I really do. I think they do offer different things. But when we look at them from the concept of the original to a sequel, that's more or less what I'm referring to when I'm trying to talk about Cameron's work on sequels. Seems to be expanding upon the original and doing what he can to make it something that is different and unique and interesting. And that's what he did with Aliens, and that's what he did with Terminator 2. And I do look, and I'll say it, I think that's what they did with Terminator Dark Fate. They were trying to make it new and interesting while keeping it somewhat familiar. And there is, you know what? I think it got a bum rap, as I've defended Terminator Dark Fate on multiple times. That's right. Yes, that's right here. Religus here says, I think Cameron means characters quipping. Yeah, right. There's a lot of that. It's a lot of like how much of Avengers, the original Avengers and Avengers Age of Ultron were just Joss Whedon literally arguing with himself and then just putting different character names in front of it. I think that's one of those things. Why not use polls? Because I don't have the ability. I don't have that screen up right now. So I have to stop what I'm doing to write a poll. You know what I mean? There's a difference there, Watcher. It requires me to kind of lose my train of thought and move on to something else. Anyway, Black Panther, Wakanda Forever. Can't wait to see this in a couple days. Currently is rocking a 94% on Rotten Tomatoes. Again, take this for what you will. Take this for however you want it. But this is one right now that's currently looking to pull in like $365 million worldwide in its first weekend of release. Completely, utterly usurping the entire 3-week plus run of Black Adam. There's a lot of reasons for this, though. There's a lot of reasons. This is a very emotional movie. This is a very timely film in regards to grief and loss and how we process. It's one that people have been waiting 4.5 years for, obviously because of the death of Chadwick Boseman. This movie very much touches into his legacy and what it means to be a hero, I think, and what the ripple effect of death can have on family. There's a lot here with grief and loss and sorrow that I'm very interested to see where it goes. Even my friend Vito Gasoldi, who I thought was going to hate this movie, ended up seeing it last night and walked away, as far as I can tell, relatively impressed, or at least relatively had himself a good time. And he's a very tough critic to please on that front. So he enjoyed his time with the movie. I'm excited to spend my time with the movie in a couple of days. But what was very fascinating, now it's down to an 88% on Rotten Tomatoes. Well, this is something I pulled earlier tonight. Okay, well, whatever. All right. It's 88% is still not terrible, but there you go. But yeah, I agree with Music Man here. Fuck Rotten Tomatoes. Again, grain of salt. Take it for what you will. It's literally just a metric to discuss right now. But a lot of people, I think, are going to really enjoy this movie, with the exception of a chud. And you know what? For that, guys, before I have to kind of talk about this. Unfortunately, I'm not the biggest fan, but it is just something that has to happen. Chud watch, guys. All right. So Nerderotic, Mr. Gary Bean, whatever himself, decided to poke a little bit of fun, if you will, in the only, like the blatantly racist way that Gary does. And says here, congratulations have to go out to Wakanda Forever and the shill corporate media today for making this the first film to reach 1,000% critic score. So brave. Look, it's a ridiculous troll. A lot of his fan base eat it up, like they're, like have their mouths open for the fucking money shot for the, in a porno or whatever. That's all they can really do. It's a bunch of seals barking and, whatever. But the idea here is it's really ridiculous. And the reason why I kind of wanted to talk about it, here's the thing, Ralph, it's not that Vito liked Cuties. Vito never actually watched Cuties. Vito defended Cuties, but he never actually watched Cuties. It was his friend, Mr. Girl, who watched it and reviewed it, and everyone got really mad at that. But Vito never actually watched Cuties. That is something I think you really need to go back and take a look at there. So let's see. Fandom Minnesota here asks, what slips faster, Black Adam box office or the Republicans' congressional chances? Right now, I'm going to go with Black Adam because the Republicans seem to kind of be holding the House, at least statistically, in the half. But we're not diving into the politics part of it yet. It's very difficult to do simply because of all that. But when we talk about Gary and we talk about bad faith actors, we talk about anti-fans or chuds, one of the things that should be talked about here real quick. Your Blaine, Mr. Girl is not actually a pedo, dude. He's not actually a pedo. Like, you should actually pay attention to him. He's very much not like that. I'm just saying, like, again, that's something you should not throw around. I'm just personally, so there's just that, right? I'm just saying that. Anyway, so earlier today, Bounding Into Comics posted this article. And so that's the image on the left. The image on the right is Dane from Actual Fandom breaking down why it's bullshit. So they said here that a new rumor claims Prime Video to completely reboot Lord of the Rings of Power after creatively bankrupt for a season. In the article here, written by John F. Trent, the owner and operator of Bounding into Comics, who, by the way, total fake news website, not real. He basically says that according to a new rumor, if you look at your source check, says the new rumor comes from YouTuber Gary Buechler, Neurotic, who says, we have heard rumors from my man Chris Gore that the showrunners might end up being Fall Guys, and we might have to wait till the award season to see if that actually happens. Then he adds, I've also heard that they're going to go full on a reboot with this series and try to pretend that the last 2 months didn't happen. Roll out the publicity, maybe roll out some more influencers to try to get people to binge the Rings of Power. Good luck. But here's the thing with this. Chris Gore has become, I don't necessarily say he's alt-right, but he's definitely right-wing, and he hates movies. At this point, the guy who runs filmthreat.com, the guy who is, he makes his way around YouTube talking about why these movies are bad or why this shit fails constantly, has appeared multiple times on Friday Night Tights, a platform that we know has openly platformed Alex Jones on multiple occasions, never once pushing back on the BS lies that Alex Jones has said, while completely using that as a way to, to basically gain money from their audience and to allow Alex Jones an unfettered platform to spew bullshit. And they don't care because they don't actually care about any of this stuff. They know that going after the Rings of Power is absolutely just a way to, right? Kind of get on in there and rile up an audience, rile up a base, and then, not actually give a shit. Whereas the other day, hold on, PC Macthar says, Chris Gore said Hollywood needs a truth teller like Trump. Jesus fucking Christ. Here's the thing. Eric Z asks, when did Chris Gore start drinking Kool-Aid? Did he have a fallout making his Attack of the, was it AOTS doc? What is that? Attack of the Show? I don't know what the AOTS doc is. I met Chris Gore actually 3 years ago when I went to go see a screening. When I went to LA to go see The Rise of Skywalker, he was in our screening. I ended up talking with him for about 15 minutes and he seemed like he had a pretty level head on his shoulders at the time. He seemed like he had a pretty decent, kind of grasp on things at the time. And, we were just chit-chatting about Hollywood and whatnot, but it's kind of like Tim Pool. The last time I saw Tim Pool was coming up on 5 years ago. That'd be February 2018 is the last time I saw him. We were in Portland. I went with him back to his hotel room and he interviewed me for his podcast. And we talked about the merits and messaging of Black Panther, which had just come out. And then now Tim Pool is out there basically claiming election denial. Like something is happening to right-wing individuals over the span of the last 4 years and probably longer, where they have just gone off the rails with every single thing that they cover, every single thing that they do. And I think one of the reasons why they do this is because they know that their audience is dumb. Their audience does not want to be informed. They just want to have their feelings told back to them. And we've seen that with this particular midterm cycle with a lot of these election deniers getting a very good chance of getting into office. And that's not very good at all. Command Unit asking, would I ever host Alex Jones? That's a tough question because part of me would want to host Alex Jones simply because I'd want to have a spirited debate and push back on bullshit. Another part of me, and I'll be fair, this is 100% like ego driven. I think it would be fun to spar with a madman, to verbally spar with a psycho. I think it would be interesting. Do I think that me being 8-9 years younger than Alex Jones have the mental fortitude to be able to take him on? It all depends on the subject. It all depends on whether or not I could get a word in edgewise. And it's all about whether or not I would be polite versus being direct. Because the thing with Alex Jones is Jones, much like any hardcore right winger, loves to steamroll the conversation. They love to just drag it back to the talking point that they want to talk about. And they don't give a shit how they do it. They'll get there. Jones does the same thing. The problem though with the Friday Night Tights crew, because I did watch when Alex Jones was on there, is that that they don't actually give a shit that he's there. They just want to get whatever they can get out of that situation. And they know that he's been banned on YouTube. And so they're kind of testing the system to see if they can get yeeted. And part of me thinks they want to get yeeted because then they could go over to Odyssey or Rumble or Cozy and just find themselves completely on their own platform without any competition, pushback, or whatever. So there's very much the weird thing. Yeah, Religus here says he's very clever, but sometimes his brains go to his head. I don't know if you're talking about Chris Gore or Alex Jones. But as for Cameron Pasha, I saw that pop up. But here we go. Anime guy asking, did Cameron Pasha just fall off the face of the earth? He popped up a while ago, I think, on Doomcock. He's on Doomcock still, and maybe he's on the Valiant Renegade every once in a while. But as far as I haven't looked him up in a while. I haven't seen him pop up in quite some bit. So there's definitely that, right? It's one of those crazy things. Spar is such a boomer word. It's a word, Kid West. It's a word. Throw hands. No, I don't want to throw hands. The motherfucker is a bodybuilder, okay? Like I look like Kevin Smith pre-heart attack. You know what I'm saying? Like there'd be no contest on that fight. Like he would whoop my ass. If it was a real honest to God fight, like I would get my ass beat by Alex Jones. Ryan here asking the question, would your sanity handle it? I mean, that's the other part of that as well. It'd be a real test. Look, here's the thing. It will never happen. It will never happen. But there's that. Yeah, Religus here makes a great point. We don't want politics in our movies is what they scream from the rafters every single day, every single hour of every single day. Every moment that they're awake, they scream that from the rafters. And they proceed to talk about politics endlessly while making up bullshit like this simply in order to get themselves, money. It's all about money. It's all about control. It's all about power. That's all it really is. As I said, Rings of Power is, has definitely had itself a bit of a rougher ride in the first part, or I should say in the middle part of the show, but the finale did pick up quite a bit. And if you go and look on Reddit, where at first they hated it, there is nothing but positive commentary on it at this point. So it is finding its foothold. It is finding its fans. And I do believe that season 2 will absolutely slay on that particular front yet. Yes, I know Ryan Kennel made up with Dave Rubin in Florida, Garrick. You've said it a couple times and you sent me a picture. I'm not going to show it because I don't really fucking need to. Command Unit here asking, have I watched Edge Runners yet? No, I want to. I started watching Big Mouth season 6 last night. And there's that. And Big Mouth's pretty fucking funny. I like Big Mouth quite a bit. Cameron goes on Sydney Watson's channel. Wait, what? The Australian chick? And the Salty Nerd podcast? Yeah. Oh, God. Again, I'm friends with one of the guys that pops up on there, and he has just gone full bore crazy, dude. Like, the nerdrotic bit, he was like laughing at. He's like, that's so funny. I'm like, nothing about that was even remotely funny. Like, what are you talking about? This is a bad joke by Gary. It's not even funny. It's low tier. It's super ass low tier, but it's like, all right, it's super mid, and yet it's like, he's like, oh, it's so funny. And it's just, okay, whatever, guys. Really, really stupid here. Mo Moon for 2 asking, would I sue you if you use Mo Moon Talk Radio? No, why would I? I don't own the name. I don't own the name Boulder Talk Radio, nor do I own, I own Boulder Talk Radio. Yeah, sure. But I don't own Talk Radio or After Dark as a thing. So I don't know. Command Unit $2 here says, Matt, don't be Patrick. I don't know. Is that like a SpongeBob reference? I don't know what you're referring to, Command Unit. I apologize. I don't know. I wish I did. But anyway, not much else going on in that particular front. Moving on here. Star Wars talk. There's a lot going on with Star Wars. Some good, some bad, some, oh my God. Finding out today that Jay Dillard is no longer directing his Star Wars film, with the quote here being, "It was not for lack of trying." So this guy, came out a while ago and ended up, hey, this guy was going to come on in, was going to offer a different take on Star Wars. It was going to be very, thoughtful, thought-provoking, perhaps. There was a lot of hype coming off of his announcement of developing a story from a small group of people who enjoy like indie cinema and things like that, and have seen this guy's movies. But then, of course, no development, probably creative differences, probably all of those things. So unfortunately, it's not happening. But again, it was not for a lack of trying. And what we got here is, this is great. I found this image. Completed Disney Star Wars, J.J. Abrams, The Force Awakens, Rian Johnson, The Last Jedi. Obviously, you've got J.J. Abrams, The Rise of Skywalker. But then it says, did not complete Disney Star Wars, Gareth Edwards. Rogue One, rewritten and reshot by Tony Gilroy. But I think the better product was there. Obviously, Andor has shown us that that's the case. Joss Trank, the Boba Fett show or movie, Lord and Miller for Solo, Colin Trevorrow, Stephen Daldry was the Obi-Wan show that went to somebody else. Boba Fett, it was James Mangold, Benioff and Weiss doing the Untitled Jedi prequel movie, Patty Jenkins, Rogue Squadron, Jay Dillard, that movie, and then Rian Johnson's Untitled trilogy. Never mind, we also have the, what we're looking at now is the Taika Waititi. We are looking at the Kevin Feige and Michael Waldron written films, and there's other movies that are currently being talked about because oh my God, finding out today that Sean Levy is in talks to direct a new Star Wars movie coming in from Deadline. He confirmed this on Twitter by saying, childhood me is losing his shit right now. Grown up me is too. And that is insane that Sean Levy, who I think is an excellent director, and I think I know why they want to go with Sean Levy, but let's take a look here at the article. According to Deadline, they say Sean Levy is in talks to direct the Star Wars film after Deadpool 3 and Stranger Things Final Eps. Deadline can reveal that Sean Levy is in talks to come aboard and direct the Star Wars film. We're trying to pry loose the details of plot and writer, but this we can tell you, Levy will focus on this one after he completes the job of directing Deadpool 3 at Marvel and Disney, the one that brings Ryan Reynolds together with Hugh Jackman. Not only that, but he will also be finishing up Stranger Things' 5th and final season, where he is the executive producer and he does direct a number of the episodes. That, of course, will not be happening. The Star Wars movie will not be happening till 2026 at like the earliest, maybe 2025. But it is 2 years from basically today. It is basically 2 years from today when Deadpool 3 comes out. Now, obviously, there's going to be lots of jokes about whether or not he ends up walking away. Garrick, you're saying Sean Levy will leave the project due to creative differences. Well, I think, look, anything could happen. Anything could happen with that. To be fair, he could leave. And it's entirely possible that he will. It is entirely possible that he will, in fact, dip out. And if they can't get their shit together. And I don't know what the hell is taking them so long. But they've really, really got it figured out. Now, Reed here says a Mando movie. I think a Mando movie would kind of be the best bet. However, I would love it if Jon Favreau directed a Mando movie. I just feel like that would be a nice way to end it. Or Dave Filoni directing the Mando movie would be a nice way to kind of wrap it up. Garrick here says, I think it all depends on the success of Deadpool 3. I disagree. I think the success of Free Guy during a pandemic doing quite well. The critical and audience response to the Adam Project, which is really, really good. And also his work on Stranger Things, especially episode 4, Running Up That Hill, which I think are like definitely Emmy-worthy episode. It's an Emmy-worthy episode for direction. And also acting on Sadie Sink's part. But no, this guy knows how to tell a story. This guy, look, this is a studio director. Okay. This is a studio director who's really good at storytelling and getting shit done. And that's the difference, is he's good at getting shit done. But wasn't there a rumor a while back about Ryan Reynolds working on some kind of Star Wars project or something? I mean, I kind of hope not, because I don't really want Ryan Reynolds to play Ryan Reynolds in a galaxy far, far away. But that being said, anything could possibly happen with Sean Levy at the helm, and I think it's going to be very interesting to see where it goes and what could potentially come from it. So, but again, as always, I'm not going to believe anything is happening. I'm not. What do you mean Stranger Things is irrelevant? Shut the fuck up, Anthony. Until I see a trailer and I'm in, like, and even then I'm going to be like, I'm not too sure. But when I'm in the theater watching the movie and the credits roll and I know that it's happening, then we will definitely have ourselves a lot of fun with that one there. The Watcher here says Disney Star Wars has more L's than W's. I disagree. It definitely doesn't have as tight of leadership as you would like to have, right? Oh yeah, Garrick here says Levy also worked at Disney before. Remember Real Steel? Well, Real Steel was a Fox movie, which is now owned by Disney. But yes, he also did the Night at the Museum movies, which were really good. Also Fox movies, now owned by Disney. There is a Night at the Museum animated feature coming out next month, which I'll be watching and reviewing for Podio Commentary. I definitely feel like Shawn Levy is a talented enough filmmaker to be able to dive into Star Wars, to deliver it on time, probably under budget, and competent enough to please audiences. But I do feel that right now, Star Wars is better off on television than it is theatrical, because it's been 3 years since we've had a theatrical movie. The shows, I think, have largely been good. There's a couple of missteps in regards to Boba Fett as well as Kenobi, but ultimately I still prefer them more than not. But Andor is the fucking shit. And I know episode 10 drops tonight at midnight, and I might watch it before bed, but just not tell my girlfriend. Oh, Moisture here says Real Steel was Touchstone, not Fox. Really? I thought it was Fox. Okay, then. Well, I was wrong. Throg here says it was DreamWorks' distribution version 2.0. I don't know yet. We're going to have to see. Go from there. Anyway, so let's see. Watcher says here, the only good film projects have been Mando, Rogue One, Tales, Fallen Order. That's about it. Clone Wars Season 7. That was really good. Star Wars Visions was really good. And again, like there was elements of Boba Fett and elements of Kenobi that were both really good, but they definitely had some issues. So again, I think you're wrong. And then I'm also wrong apparently about Joyful Superman. I'm not. That's a boring character. Stop doing it. But we'll talk about that. We'll definitely talk about that. Moving on here. Indiana Jones. This is what caught me off guard today. I took a nap. I woke up. This news was trending. I was like, say what now? What's going on here? I don't quite get it. So, because if you guys don't know, Indiana Jones, like Raiders of the Lost Ark is my all-time favorite movie. I adore that movie. I absolutely, utterly cherish and treasure that film. It's amazing. I love it. I love all the movies. I can't wait for Indiana Jones 5. But this is really kind of crazy because Indy is once again coming back to television, but now over on Disney Plus. So this information dropped on Variety today, saying Indiana Jones TV series eyed for Disney Plus exclusive, saying Disney is actively looking to develop an Indiana Jones TV show for Disney Plus. Variety has learned. The Mouse House and Lucasfilm have specifically been bringing up the possibility of a streaming show set in the world of the globetrotting archaeologist in general meetings with writers as of late. They are still looking for a writer to take on the project, thus no plot details are available. Given that, it's unknown if a series would serve as a prequel or a spin-off of the film franchise, or if it would tie into the upcoming 5th Indiana Jones film, similar to how Disney has tied its Marvel shows on Disney Plus into the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Very interesting if that's the case. But going on here, it says the move to potentially develop an Indiana Jones show comes as Harrison Ford has stated he is done playing the character after the 5th film, which is due out in 2023. In addition, sources say that Disney is currently exploring a number of options to keep the franchise going, which could mean a series, new films, other media, or a combination thereof. Reps for Lucasfilm declined to comment. Okay, so there's a lot to unpack here, guys. There really is a lot to unpack here. So Harrison Ford did recently say that when he dies, Indiana Jones dies with him. Now, what does that mean? He didn't elaborate on. Many of us out there have thought that it could potentially be a type of thing where he says like, oh no, this is the character, the world itself, it dies with me. But when he said that, I was thinking just any more Indiana Jones movies with the main character with him as the main character would probably not happen, but a reboot, a recasting, a reimagining that could happen. There, of course, was talks about Indiana Jane, having it be a female-led reboot, knowing Disney, that's probably the angle they're going to want to go, which I think that's kind of maybe what Phoebe Waller-Bridge is doing in this upcoming movie, perhaps. We don't quite know. I mean, they did try that with Mutt Williams in Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, which was met with middling. results. I think the response was a little kind of crazy, a little kind of over the place. I don't know. I liked it. I enjoyed Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. Again, only thing I can't defend are the monkeys. But that being said, Disney did not spend $4 billion on Lucasfilm to just get Star Wars. And not have Kathy run it was just, it was all, I believe, Star Wars and Indiana Jones. They've had a lot of problems getting Indiana Jones off the ground, but they finally got it off the ground. They got it done. Could it potentially be that if they start developing more with Indiana Jones, this will be what Kathy herself sets up as her golden parachute when she exits the company, similar to what Amy Pascal did with Sony back in 2015 after the email scandal came out? It'd be very interesting to see what they do with that. But if they decide to go a television route and they focus on a younger Indiana Jones, I mean, we've already got the show. It had 3 seasons from nearly 30 years ago, right? Or like 30 years ago or whatever, with young Sean Patrick Flannery. I forget the name of the kid who played the younger version of Indy. Harrison Ford made an appearance in one episode, I think in 1992, and he was wearing a beard because he was shooting The Fugitive and he couldn't shave it off. And they didn't have the digital technology a la Justice League 2017 to fix it. That's kind of a problem. So I just think that what we're looking at here is like a situation where they are going to want to continue it. And that does make all the sense in the world. If they're developing a streaming show, what kind of show would it be? What kind of show should it be? What kind of production should it be? What is it that they should do? This is where I think a lot of people are going to have a different take than me. My take on it has a lot to do with the fact that I think Indiana Jones would be better served if it was, in fact, set during World War II. Because the stuff that they hinted at in Kingdom of the Crystal Skull definitely made it interesting, right? And we know that, look, Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade took place in 1939. You still have 6 more fucking years of the war. That's a lot of shit that a 40-year-old Indiana Jones could get into in 1939 to 1945. We could definitely see that we could see that whole thing unfold, right? And we could get all that, and that could actually be pretty cool. Would they botch it? Would they screw it up? Would it be? I could only see one person coming on board. And after watching the Light and Magic documentary, man, like, bring the fuck on Lawrence Kasdan to write the Indiana Jones spinoff. Give it to the man who wrote the original script. Give it to the man who knew Lucasfilm inside and out. And I think he did a great job with the script for Solo. His son, John Kasdan, is behind Willow. Willow looks amazing. That comes out in a couple of weeks. Can't wait to watch that either. But come on here, guys. We are in a space where you could bring in Lawrence Kasdan to develop a show, to write Indiana Jones, and give us something really good with the blessing of Spielberg, with the blessing of Lucas, maybe even with the blessing of Harrison Ford, because they're all going to have dump trucks full of fucking money dumped on their door. That's what's going to happen. So I think it'd be okay. Garrick here says, make a Mutt Williams spinoff of Shia. No. Let's see. Rational says they should make Indiana Jones and the Infernal Machine and Emperor's Tomb into TV shows. I think that would be cool, man. But look, you guys already know. You guys already know what I'm going to say to that. What I'm going to say to that flat out is this. I'm going to say, if you're going to do an Indiana Jones adaptation, if you're going to do an Indiana Jones adaptation of any other medium, it fucking has to be Fate of Atlantis. You know it. I know it. Fate of Atlantis. That's the one we all want to see. That's the one we all want to dive into. And I'm hoping, by the way, this is kind of an offshoot here. I'm kind of hoping that when we get into, when we get into this, when we start getting into the potentiality of LucasArts games being maybe adapted, and with the popularity, because again, the new Return to Monkey Island, which is a great game, by the way, that just dropped from Devolver Digital. It's now actually out on PS5 and Xbox, and it's available Xbox Games Pass, which I wish I would have known, because I spent $25 on it on the Switch, and I have Xbox Games Pass and whatever. But I want to give it my money. I want to support it. If they were to do like a Guybrush Threepwood Escape from Monkey Island game, I would be, or a show or movie, whatever, I'd be very happy with that. I would love it if they did Maniac Mansion or any of the crazy shit that going on with that would be fucking fantastic. Anyway, I agree. Okay. Moisture for $2 here says Indy fights Nazis or Steve Rogers. There we go. Fuck it. Crossover. Garrick here agrees. Indiana Jones and the Fate of Atlantis. All right. Command unit here. Yes, I have the trailer up. We'll watch it at the end because we're getting close to the last story here. And then also real quick, sorry, I pulled myself out. Disney sell off the Power Rangers to anybody that buy the rights. Well, I mean, like, did they? I thought they had the rights to that. I don't quite remember exactly what's going on with that, to be fair. I never really followed the chain of command on that. So if anyone knows, let me know. Thank you. And then command unit here said this one earlier. Patrick as SpongeBob lives under a rock. What am I living under a rock on? I mean, probably a fair amount of things, right? Yeah. It wasn't mute. I pulled myself out of the stream accidentally. That was my bad, guys. My bad. Indiana Jones and the Hollow Earth would be interesting. Okay. Disney did sell Power Rangers. Okay. You know what? It's just, I haven't paid attention to that, to be honest with you. Watcher says Indiana Jones, it's time to reboot. I mean, who would play him? Right? Like, who would play him? We don't know. Shiftygism here says this news is tough. We all know about the leaks, but you can't discuss the leaks, which may have something to do with the show, but you can't talk about it because it spoils the movie. I think I know what you're talking about, and I'm just not thinking about it, to be honest with you. But I know what you're talking about, and I mean, again, Mangold has not let me down. So I don't know. Garrick here says Chris Pratt is Indiana Jones. I mean, it seems like an obvious answer, but like I would have loved like Nathan Fillion like 10, 15 years ago to do it. You know what I mean? But he could probably do it now. He's in that age. He's in that age. We could talk about that. But I think it'd be great. Hold on, Blaine says, what about Indy and the Great Mystery where Indy dies and explores the afterlife? I mean, to be fair, that would kind of be like the most Indy story ever. Because if you look at the fact that it touched upon like, the existence of God in multiple occasions, right? The existence of religious deities in both Western and Eastern religions. And then even looking at how in South America that they deal with their particular belief system. Yeah, I mean, why not? The afterlife, if God was proven, then the afterlife is there in Indiana Jones. So obviously, Ralph's Double Tits here says, yes, JWs would go crazy if Pratt gets casted as Indy. Yeah, that's true. They would. They absolutely would. And that's kind of stupid though, but it is what it is. Cause that's just, they cray, in my opinion. That's what they are. They cray. So let's go into the last story of the night. Hold on here. $5 from This Is, thanks buddy, says the Light River Phoenix played young in the Annie Jones. What? I think you're saying like the right guy was River Phoenix who played young Indiana Jones. I think that's what you're trying to say. But yeah, I think River Phoenix did a great job for the opening of Last Crusade. Unfortunately, he passed. That sucks, a long time ago. But yeah, someone like him, you know what I mean? Like that would, yeah, I get that. But thank you very much, buddy. I really appreciate that. So, all right, guys, let's talk about a war that is coming, a war that might already be upon us. We're talking about the Scooper War. That's right, folks. Baskin Robbins, 31 flavors. Who's got the scoop of scoops? And you guys know who I'm talking about, right? It was on the thumbnail. We're talking about Grace Randolph versus James Gunn. Holy shit, folks. Grace Randolph versus James Gunn. This is something that's really funny because these guys are going to have it out. All right. Today was just kind of the first salvo because Grace makes her money talking about superhero content. She makes her money discussing all this stuff. And so when James Gunn came out today over on Mastodon, which is the Twitter alternative for people out there who hate Elon Musk and are really trying to figure out how the fucking how that whole goddamn thing works. I almost signed up today. I was like, I have no idea how any of this works, but I'll figure it out. He got over there and he posted glad to be here with an image of Lobo. And that, oh man, that's got a lot of people attacking. That's got a lot of people attacking. A lot of people were very curious about whether or not Lobo was going to be the bad guy in Man of Steel 2, or if Lobo is finally going to get his own project, or who knows what exactly could be happening with that. But Grace herself decided to chime up about it while talking about. Oops.
Gunn gonna break his own news stories. That's really a weird situation, right? Now, James Gunn has a very unique relationship with scoopers. He's the only creative who likes to pick fights with scoopers and go and say that things aren't true. Even things, by the way, he has a reputation among scoopers for saying things that once were true, but the way the project developed no longer was the case, is not true. And you'll notice as a result of that, no one covers really any of his projects anymore because they don't want to deal with that on Twitter. So you don't see a lot of scoops about any of his projects.
Which is funny because there were scoops that came out of Suicide Squad. If I recall, there were scoops that came out from Grace Randolph about Peacemaker, specifically a particular villain, a particular masked villain who was going to appear in the end credits of the show, the end of the first season. And you got to love it here because, this immediately calls back this particular quote. The earth revolves around the sun. Mothers love their children. And Grace Randolph will spout bullshit.
Ow!
Yeah, she got it right there. Obviously, you have to love it, guys. You have to give it. You have to chill. You have to just laugh at that. Yeah, Goober says, still waiting for that Bane cameo. Exactly. That Bane cameo, never going to happen. And James does call her out. And you know what? Other directors have called her out. And it's not to say that James gets into fights with other scoopers. The thing is, though, is that I think he understands that if, a lot of these guys get info, they run with it, they put it out there. But he's polite. If they're polite with him, he's polite with them. For example, Big Screen Leaks here, who I like quite a bit. We follow each other. He responded to this comment Grace made, and he says, no scoopers have a problem with this at all. And I will be happy to cover James Gunn's projects no matter what. And the thing is, a lot of other people are going to do the same thing. A lot of scoopers are going to now be talking about that stuff. But what I think the big problem, though, is that Grace is worried about stuff that she hears potentially being bullshit, and then her running with it anyway, because now she's going to be paranoid about James calling her out. And look, going over here, even this happened on Mastodon earlier today, where people found James. And again, James is very open, very upfront, very chit-chatty, very talkative with his people, with his fans. And this guy here says, hey, James, can you tell us what's going on with Batman and DC Studios? Who's going to be Batman going forward in the internet to DCU? What's going on with the Reevesverse? Is that still going to be separate? Are the Batman projects under DC Studios? Batman is arguably the crown jewel of DC, and there are so many doubts right now, it'd be nice to clear them up soon, which is a very valid concern, a very valid question. And James responds back with, all DC titles are under DC Studios, which is awesome. He's confirming 100% that he is in control of all of this stuff. Now, that doesn't mean he's going to over exercise everything, that he's going to go and push it all as much as he has to, or that he's going to be crazy about it. But it is showing you that there is a new sheriff in town, or new sheriffs, so to speak. And obviously we're going to be seeing a little bit of that happening in a way that's going to be pretty funny, because Grace is going to be in a position where she may not even be able to comment on this stuff without fear of Gunn mucking it up. And you know what? Here's the thing with that. I fucking hope that every time one of these scoopers drops something and it is not true, that James comes out and absolutely just kind of fucking shits on it. Rationally for $5 did say, thank you, by the way, Matt, it's going to be funny when Gunn calls out My Time to Shine Hello, KC, Walsh, Viewer, Non, and Sill. Here's the thing, though. I don't think he'll call out KC, because KC is aggressive against Chuds and James is also aggressive against Chuds. Viewer Non is also very kind about stuff. He doesn't attack. he might be critical, but like the only time he really did anything that was like super crazy was when it was the Secrets of Dumbledore plot synopsis he dropped because of what J.K. Rowling was saying about the trans community. And he was very upset about that. So he decided to get back. Syl, on the other hand, Syl and Mikey's audience are viciously mean. And they are like fiercely protective over this brand that doesn't give one iota of a fuck about them. But they are very, very, very protective over that. And they are absolutely going to attack if there's ever a phase where they don't get what they want. And the thing is, though, I agree with the watcher here. Not every scooper is on Twitter, but the vast majority of them are. You know, I mean, earlier today, Collider, Frosty from Collider posted, he's like, oh, I got a new scoop kind of about the new Dragon's Lair project at Netflix that was announced a couple of years ago that Ryan Reynolds is working on. And a lot of people are like, well, oh, is it a scoop? It's not. He interviewed Ryan Reynolds, asked Ryan Reynolds about it, and Reynolds gave a bit of an update. That's a valid, legit article. Not everyone out there is going to be crazy about it. But again, a lot of these guys, they will post it, they'll run with it, and then that's it. They'll move on. Grace seems to be the kind of person that wants to be right and everything else. So we have a situation where we're going to see more of that stuff getting called out. Geeks here asks, Gunn should call them out more, even on Mikey Sutton. Oh, I think he will. I do think, though, that with the way that Gunn is going to start saying shit, that a lot of those guys are very much going to start calming things down. They are very much going to start scaling it back a little bit because now they can get clap back. It may not be very often. But if Gunn is trying to get his house in order, if Gunn is trying to get his property in check, if he's trying to make sure that he and Peter are the ones who are in control, he doesn't want to let fan narratives run by these people who do it for profit, run completely unchecked. So, there's that. Will the scoopers decline down? Well, a lot of the scoopers blew up in 2020 because of the pandemic, and there wasn't a lot of news coming out, and movies shut down, and there just wasn't things to watch. And so they were able to find a way to run with it at the time and get a fair amount of popularity. And I do think that, it ebbs and it flows, it ebbs and it flows, it ebbs and it flows. So where we are right now is you've got someone who's going to come out and say some shit, and that might get them to be a bit more, what's the word I want to use here? Careful. I think that might be. So Undead Queen Danny here says Grace is a lot more professional. That's debatable. And a lot bigger than Mikey and all those other people you're mentioning, though. Well, yeah. No. She is definitely bigger than all of them, so she doesn't care. But her comment here about people not wanting to cover it because they don't want to deal with Twitter goes to show you that they're literally afraid of what would be going on here, right? And it's like, that's the thing. Their bread and butter comes from running with these scoops and people believing that they have an inside track. If the person who is at the top of that inside track comes out and says, fuck no, it throws her for a loop. And she also tried to play, oh, he's got a reputation, at least among scoopers, of coming out and declining things that were true at one point, but didn't come to fruition. And she provided no example of that. And as close as I have followed this particular scenario, I have actually never seen that myself. So Danny here says, you're right, though. She shouldn't be mentioning things that aren't 100% true. The thing is, though, she doesn't always know what's going to be true. She runs with it. It's meant to be a rumor, obviously. But the problem is you have an ego. The ego is what ends up being the bigger problem here, is that she thinks that she's got the inside track, and she uses that as a way to get super chats and channel memberships and ad revenue and things like that. And when that gets called into question, then that fucks with her money. One of the reasons why Daniel RPK attempted to blackmail me a couple of years ago was because I had suggested that it appeared that he had stolen a scoop from Andy Signor. And this is after I didn't like Andy. And then that he'd also he was putting scoops behind paywalls. And I think that's ridiculous. I think if you get it for free, you should give it for free. Running scoops behind a paywall is absolutely ridiculous. And I think if you pay for that, I think you're ridiculous too. I think that's a waste of money to pay for access over something that doesn't benefit your life in any conceivable metric, right? But when Daniel RPK posts something on his Patreon, there was a time when like comicbook.com, comicbookmovie.com, a bunch of these other outlets would run that story going, oh, Daniel RPK, Scooper Daniel RPK from inside his Patreon said this, which would then drive a lot of traffic to that Patreon. So when I called that into question, when I questioned all of that, is when he came at me and tried to extort me over comments him and I had exchanged privately about Mikey Sutton before I knew Mikey Sutton. That's all it is. That's all it really is. Eric here says, remember when Humberto Gonzalez used to be a scooper and now he just does news and sits more behind a desk? I mean, he breaks some stuff and whatever, but yeah, basically, I just find it funny that like he owns heroichollywood.com. He's the EIC of heroichollywood.com, but writes for the Wrap. I always find that to be kind of funny. All the years Heroic Hollywood has been around and it doesn't make, I don't know. Does it even make any money? Jesus. Let's see. Roman numerals here says, sickening seeing too much deceit rake in the big bucks. Oh, well, it really sucks, which is why I've been wanting to move on to other things. I mean, obviously I just wanted to cover this. I thought this was like a funny thumbnail to make and everything else, but it is just how it is. It is just very much how it is these days. But all right, a couple quick things here. I did miss the super chat from Command Unit asking why no America John's parody though. I don't know who that is. I'm sorry. Thank you though. And then read here, Joe Keery as young Indy. I think, I like Joe Keery. Joe Keery could be a decent Indy. I think it'd be okay. I'd be okay with him in the role. It'd be younger. It'd be like, God, Joe Keery is 30, I think. So this would put Indy early 30s, early 1930s, right? Would be about the time, So, yeah, I mean, what was going on in the world in the early 1930s? You know what I mean? Like, what could they tie into it? What would be a thing that they could do? I think they're going to have to tie it into a war. I think World War II, I think Indiana Jones in World War II going up against Nazis and the occult, that prints fucking money. Man. Let's see. Eric here says Heroic Hollywood does nothing and just posts articles from other sites. My favorite is when they go to Instagram and they find fan art and that becomes a 500-word article. Interesting. Fandom Menesel says off topic, but thoughts on Kalua. I can never pronounce his name. I know the guy from Get Out joining Across the Spider-Verse as Punk Spider-Man. Yeah, cool, man. Cool. I think he's a good actor. Daniel Kaluuya. Is that it? I hate mispronouncing names. You guys have no idea how much I hate mispronouncing names. I really, really do. Drives me up the damn wall when I do that because I feel like I'm being disrespectful and I don't want to be disrespectful. I really don't. They do a lot of work there. I like him as an actor quite a bit. I really enjoyed him in Get Out. I really liked him in Black Panther. I still need to see Nope. That's going to be the next one. That's Kaluuya. Thank you, Fandom Menesels. Thank you. Blaine here says Indy killing off Nazis is definitely going to piss some people off. Goddamn right, dude. Goddamn fine. Geek in Review says you can bet James Gunn's looking into finding Grace's sources. I mean, probably not. Because like he knows that she spouts bullshit and he can just counter it and like destroy the narrative. And I think that's good. I really think that's good. I really feel like that's going to be the best course of action for everybody is to do that. Eric asking, did you see Gunn and Safran will do do I think that Gunn and Safran will do a DC fandom in early 2023? Nope. Comic-Con, baby. It's going to be Comic-Con. Even though I feel Comic-Con is largely irrelevant these days and you could do a DC fandom, but the amount of money it's going to cost to go to Comic-Con is going to be far cheaper than what it would cost to do a DC fandom, to be fair. But no, they're going to do it at Comic-Con. Here's the reason why. It will give them a solid like 9 months, right? 8-9 months before Comic-Con to go back in and like to sit down and like plot out their new reign. It gives them time to get Shazam 2 marketed, hopefully profitable. Gives them time to finish up The Flash and kind of set the tone from that. It gives them time to get Aquaman as close to being done as it's going to be, because it's going to be done and sitting there for a long time before it releases. And then of course Blue Beetle will be on the horizon as well. Never mind, Gunn out there filming Peacemaker season 2 and whatever else is coming along. So by having it take place in July gives them enough time to get their ducks in a row, to get the new stuff situated, and then to be able to announce, really announce what's going to go on. But they still need to get shit for 2024. They got nothing except Batgirl. I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen with that one. I don't know. You never know. You never know. But like I said, it's just with this Henry Cavill thing, I do think now if this Black Adam on VOD happening in just a couple weeks, in just 12 days is real, or 14 days, so 2 weeks is real, then that to me shows that this movie is just, it has lost all legs. And you know what? They've made 300 million worldwide, and they'll be happy with that. And they'll argue that it reinvigorated the brand. But you know what? They're talking about it from more of the Henry Cavill perspective. There's no articles out there saying like, what will happen in Black Adam 2? It's, oh, Henry Cavill Superman says this. No one is talking with Dwayne about Black Adam. Because as I've said multiple times, Black Adam was the least interesting person in his own movie. And that is the biggest problem with Black Adam, is that I was watching this random review today, this guy called Bardo Critic, and I came across randomly, and he was like, I liked the movie well enough, but he's like, it was just The Rock being The Rock. And I'm like, that's it. That's the problem. Nobody sees Dwayne The Rock Johnson as a character. They see Dwayne The Rock Johnson as that's who they see. And when you're trying to be a character in a comic book, you can't be yourself. You know, Robert Downey Jr. and Tony Stark went hand in hand together pretty well because of their, and they were able to work with it. A better director would have been able, a better script would have been able to, I think, really bring out the Man in Black and the vengeance and the rage and all the things that we were marketed that never came to fruition. So there's all that shit. Calvin here asking, do I think Justice League 2 will happen and the Snyderverse will become Gunverse? Also, the Reevesverse is going to be its own thing. Are we headed to Crisis? I think we're definitely headed to Crisis. The Reevesverse will definitely stay its own thing. The Snyderverse, I believe at this point, is effectively dead. And like in regards to just, it's not going forward. Jim Lee said it himself that they are not actively developing anything within the Snyderverse. So that's something to consider on that front. That is where I think we are. Now, JL2 could happen. I talked about that last night. Again, if Andy Muschietti wants to come on in, it'd be great. I also found out today that apparently, because I was like, Ezra called fucking Andy Muschietti Maestro, right? And you're like, there you go. That's the code. That's the missing link we were looking for. Turns out fucking Ezra Miller calls everybody Maestro. He called Zack Snyder Maestro. He called other people Maestro. It's like Ezra Miller just calls everybody Maestro. Like he just goes to a coffee shop. Can I please get a venti latte, soy milk, 10 stevia, pumps of whatever, 5 pumps. Thank you, Maestro. Have yourself a great day. You know what I mean? Like it's just Ezra calls everybody Maestro. That's what it is. That's what it is. But all right, guys, we are getting into the end of the show tonight because it is, again, a school night. Tomorrow night is going to be anime red pill night. So you know what? You know the rules of the anime red pill, right? The rules of the anime red pill are the same rules as the trailer park, which is have a trailer, keep it on topic, super chat, skip preference, and then enjoy the night. That's what we're going to be talking about tomorrow when we dive in to the anime night. It's going to be a lot of fun. People have been asking for an anime red pill night for a while. So I know people have already got I've already got my trailers. With any luck, we can get through about an hour and a half of that tomorrow night and not get my channel completely yeeted. But Command Unit here did ask us to take a look at a Warhammer End Times Vermintide release trailer. I know there's a new game coming out. I don't know if this is it or not. Let me just get the settings up to at least 720 because StreamYard's been holding okay. So let's take a look.
The world is ending, though few believe it. The Chaos Gods, the Dark Brothers, tire of their great game. Now, they seek to sweep the board clean with fire and blood. For centuries, the Empire has held firm against its enemies. Mankind has encountered no foe that steel could not tame, or whom walls could not hold. At least, that is what they taught. No one spoke of the ancient enemy now rising from beneath, and no one will be left to tell the tale. Unless you can stem the vermin tide.
A trap!
Oh, I wasn't muted.
Down this street!
All right, that was pretty cool. Thank you very much for that command unit. Obviously, we do get a lot of, we do get a fair amount of Warhammer stuff here. So, all right, guys, tomorrow night is anime night. Be sure to come back and check it out then. That's it for Hollywood After Dark. If you guys haven't already, please leave the like. There is a Discord link in the video description. Join up, join the party, join the fun. Check it out. I'll talk to you guys tomorrow. Bring your anime trailers because it's Red Pill night. Goddamn. All right, everybody. Have yourself a great evening. Thank you again for listening to Hollywood After Dark. Have yourself a great night. And peace the fuck out.